Hello, hello, and welcome to Pieces that Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I'm the one who paints the pieces, mostly. Some of y'all might be painting along with me. I don't know. I think a few people do a little bit of art. Not necessarily always painting, though, which is cool. My hair is definitely getting long. I'm thinking about cutting it. That's because I'm just looking at myself again going, oh, wow, it is getting pretty long. I was a chef for a long time, so like I had to keep it short. So I got out of the chef world, and I was like, man, I'm going to start like grow it for fun. I had it long when I was in high school, but yeah. Anyway, we were working on this really cool model. It is Godfrey from the Elden Ring, which is a video game, which is fun. It's pretty neat. Really been enjoying working on him. We did a little custom fun kind of goofing off on the back. Just for funsies. But he looked magnificent. So, we've been kicking around working on him. I don't know, something just came on my screen, and I can't see anything. It's all blurry. What a weird thing to happen, like, randomly. Oh, it went away. Just trying to show me some sort of news or something, I don't know. But yeah, we've been working on that. We're up to working on Serosh, I think is the name of the lion part that goes on him. So and he's looking pretty good, and we're getting pretty close to having the face and the armor done, and then we just have to do his crown and this one little shoulder piece here, which we're going to try to get. I'm going to try to remember to get to that today, so we have all of that done. And then who knows? I might work with a few other parts. I'm always, I could pick at models forever and just keep messing with them forever. So like I have to get to a point where I'm like, okay, you need to put it down. We got to move on to the next one. So, it's good. It's good to have a place where you can just say, okay, we're done with something. Let's move on to the next part of it, or let's move on to the next piece or whatever. A little bit, we're trying epidemic music today. And then we're going to go, this is Epidemic Electronic is what this one's called. Just because I forgot to, I had another one that was suggested by Sir McBeersley. We're going to try that out soon too. But I was busy painting Tyranids, because when I'm not painting my stuff on the live show, I'm painting stuff for other things. And I'm always painting something. So, but yeah, I've been painting Tyranids and trying to get ready for this, what's it called, Escalation League that I joined, because I was lacking the motivation to get this army finished, and I was like, what's the best way to get this army finished? Oh yeah, we're going to just burn the boats and put ourselves in a position where we have to get this army finished, or else it's going to go really poorly. So and we're going to make ourselves look foolish, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to shrink us down, and I'm going to pull up the paint camera. Maybe. There we go. Actually, it worked better when it was over here, didn't it? Just because of the way the angles are. Anywho, there we go. Several people said they liked being able to see me, so I'm like, that's weird, but okay. I get messages and stuff all the time. And plus, my kids like to come in here and get seen and stuff, so that way, in case they come in here, I don't have to stop what I'm doing so that I can placate children. I love my children very much, and I placate them too much, probably, but you know, it's I give them the little things so that when I ask them to do something big, there's no like extra-ness about it. They just do what I ask. So, hell yeah, boy, yes, to some small things, sure, no problem, whatever. Oh, awesome, we get to use, we can actually look at stuff over on this one. Sweet. Okay, so I get a look at this mouth again. Okay. Yeah, we're in a good starting position. So yeah, it fades into that other color as it comes down. Yeah, and I think we leave that yellow and make that part. Or maybe not, maybe that is the lip. No, that can't be right. So that's definitely... Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna do the big thing. I'm not terribly forced. Good morning, Sir McBeardsley. I was just talking about you. I didn't get onto that other music yet because I was busy paying Tyranids. We're gonna do that tomorrow. But I did check out that Twitter statement, and yeah, I would consider that to be like a blanket. Hey, use our music. I think they just want to get out there. A lot of these guys in this synth area of things, you know, it's hard for them to break out. So they need. It seems like they need a little bit more community help to get themselves put into, you know, places where they can make money and stuff, which is, you know, really what it's all about. All trying to help each other get the currency that dominates our lives. Whatever currency that is, because sometimes it's not even like cash money. Sometimes you need like other types of currencies. Anyway, you might need if you were in a highly religious organization, you would need whatever currency they trade in, whether that be knowledge in the texts or just the simple working every day to accomplish goals or whatever. Jesus bucks, that'd be funny. Isn't that what they call a Starbucks? And what the Starbucks that's inside the Life Church? It's the Jesus bucks. I don't know. I've never been to a Life Church, so. But it seems like something they would have. They like to have. They're like the big showy Christians. Looks like they have a lot of fun though. I ain't hating. Just saying. He's losing every battle. We see you, bro. Yep, totally should have gone with that other one. I'll have to make sure I do that tomorrow. Oh, well, maybe not tomorrow. I gotta take these kids to the water park. I promised them. And I've been so busy painting miniatures that I haven't really been able to go for the week, and they really, really want to go. So I've got to take them. Because again, I probably acquiesce too much to my kids. But I love them. And they're good kids. And honestly, I don't mind. Water park's fun. Because there's teeth. There's teeth. There's that lip or teeth. It's hard to tell. I think the teeth are... kind of under the tongue. Hey, what's up, Rasmus? It's a rather strange call out for dance music. Sounds more like a movie score to like a bad video game movie. Hey, that's what he's going for. I got to thinking about filter bosses yesterday when I got home and was looking around. I was checking general achievement completion in the game. Oh. Interesting. What was the final conclusion there? Dark Souls 2, I think, is still the pursuer because only 66% of players made it to beat the first boss, which is extremely low. Dark Souls 3 seems to have two filters. First being Ledoux Gundyr, and second being Vrut of Boreal Valley. Or Boreal, whichever you're supposed to, however you're supposed to say that. Definitely want to get this started in here so we can start to set up, because we're going to come back, especially on the tongue. We got a lot to do in here, but we need to get some color in here started just to help us kind of mark some places of where we got to go as we come down around these lips. And this area down here, we got some decisions we got to make. And getting things marked out in color is a great way to help us kind of get those decisions made. A little closer here. Yeah, you lose 15% of players in the first 15 to 20 minutes of playing because you encounter Grundir very quickly. And there's about a major drop at about 15 to 18 that failed to get past Vort. Both are required bosses to progress. Huh. That sounds, I mean, that sounds like a Rubicon to me. Like, there's always a, there definitely is a, you know, back in the old days, it would have been like that first jump across a pit in Mario. If you couldn't get past that pit in Mario, first pit jump in Mario, you weren't going to be able to play that game. You just weren't going to be able to play the game. Because that's such a, it's a difficult mechanic, but it's so basic. When it very first came out, I mean, it's not a difficult mechanic now because everybody just grows up with that. There's more of the screen growing up, and you start doing those things from an earlier age. But when it very first came out, it had this Rubicon-like feel where if you couldn't master jumping across it, you weren't going to be able to play the game. You know, like a lot of my older family members trying to make that jump, that was where they quit playing Mario. They were like, I don't, video games aren't for me, and they quit. It's very much like that. So here, I see something in here I don't like. That's gonna be happening a lot right there. I can feel it. You're like, that's not quite right. I gotta fix that. Yeah, all as video in that's one of the interesting things about these Souls games is it does feel like it's an evolution in like how games are played, and a type of game that is a new type of game where we were talking yesterday about how it technically shouldn't have succeeded, because you know most people want to feel confident and want to win, and like that game, I don't know, it's really hard to win at that game. Like you really have to work at it, and a lot of people like to goof off on video games, so like that kind of challenge level just ain't them. Dark Soul 1 seems to have 2 filters as well. First being making it to the first Bell of Awakening. Second being Ornstein and Small. Through Small. To figure out how to say that by saying a different word. Alright, I'm back. I finally managed to beat Mesmer, the Elden Ring DLC boss. Hell yeah. After God knows how many tries. That's crazy. Yeah, we were talking about how difficult that game is and how it breaks people. And Rubicons and stuff like that, and how Rubicons work. Because it definitely is 100% a Rubicon-like game. You're saying it right. Good. Rasmus says my hands are shaking and my heart is pumping like twice the normal BPM. There you go. That's fun. It's like riding a roller coaster. Turn that down right now. She's like yelling in my ear. I definitely think I'm getting old. Like I used to love really loud music, but now I'm like, man, I like to tone it down a little bit so I can concentrate on what I'm doing. It feels like something old people say. Nice. Gotta turn my music down so I can see better while driving. Right. No, that's just from taking too many gummies. I eat too many of my medical gummies, and I'm like, I'm not driving, guys. I'm sorry. I know I told you I was gonna be somewhere. I'm not gonna be there. Just kind of edging that in, adding little bits at a time. Really just kind of letting those crevices be there. Remember, you want to paint the under, not the over. Because the very top of that is going to be more shadow than the bottom. Just because of the nature of how light works. Think of how light on a shelf works and where the light goes and how that light settles on things. He's going to look great when we start putting the white on him. I feel like his face is kind of the focal point of this whole model. Like, I mean, Godfrey's impressive and all, but it's this lion that really, the way the model is designed, the way he sits on his shoulder, this lion has got to be impressive. He just has to be. He's got to be the most impressive part of the model. You want him to be the thing you're looking at. Every time you look at it, you're like, oh, that lion looks so good. And you can see again why we went with that Payne's gray. It really kind of helps blend in with that silver. It's going to help us give that whiter look, white lion look, when we get down to the finishing and everything getting finished off. It will look a lot more like that promo photo of them, and that's what we want. We want it to look more like that. Just trying to close in some of these lines. We want a little bit of that Payne's gray to show through, but not a whole lot. Maybe yellow doesn't fit too well. Maybe it's better to look when he's finished. Oh yeah, no, that's just the bottom underneath. You got to work the colors up. I'm getting ready to start the white here in just a second. Because he'll be white. He'll be more like this once it gets done. But you have to work this up in layers or it won't. It doesn't have the same effect. Oh, thank you. I don't read Shrillick, so I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but I really appreciate your compliments. And yeah, it does at first. It kind of doesn't make sense, but once it starts sinking in, you'll see it, because we're getting ready to start to white now. White, the way white itself as a pigment works is it's super thin. And so like the pigment of it itself needs stuff underneath it to make it have the right colors. I mean, if you want it to be stark white, you would paint it the same white over and over again. And then you can get it all the way to be like pure white. But an animal or a creature isn't going to be pure white. It's going to be color underneath that white, even if it's just the way light is working on it. And you can already see how that coat of white is not, it's not going on there quite like, you know, redwood or blue, or if I were to throw like a black paint on here, you'd see that immediately. But white is super thin, and so you kind of have to work it up. But it also lets you kind of use it to your advantage. So we're going to be able to have the colors brought up, and we're going to be able to use that to kind of give us a shadow. I'm glad you brought that up. It actually gets like, it's a lead in to be able to talk about how the process itself works. Because it almost feels counterintuitive. Because you're like, wait a minute, isn't it supposed to be white? And then it's like, it will be white, but you have to paint it yellow to paint it white. And we had to paint it that Payne's gray first to get the underneath shadow colors. And so it's like, it's all this real strange kind of pattern you have to follow to get the colors you're looking for. And again, with this, brushstrokes are going to matter. So we want to make sure our brushstrokes are staying pretty even and heading in a direction we want them to. Oh, later, I can't understand what you say. Funny Magic Man, it sure looks good. I trust you'll make it. Funny Magic. Yeah, it definitely, it's interesting. It's one of the advantages to like digital painting. Like with digital painting, you can just put white on there and it's gonna be white. Versus when you're having to do it with a brush or pencils or something physical like that. You can't get quite the same kind of edge and quite the same kind of color. It doesn't work the same. So there's an advantage to digital by far, in my opinion. I'm not very good at digital, and I've tried doing it, but a couple of folks I know that transitioned over, man, the stuff that they're doing is way crazy looking. But then I know one guy who's he's a realism painter, and then his stuff looks like a photograph, but he did it with like oil paint. Like, wow, it's incredible. Just an incredible talent. Can I rest my hand for a second? Get time to have a drink and rinse my brush. I should learn how to read Shulik. I've always wanted to learn how to read it. It's really neat looking language. I love the way it looks. Like I've started to get to where I can recognize a few things in like Japanese. I'd love to be able to read like, 20, 30 different languages. It'd be really cool. Like I can kind of read French. Like I can kind of understand what they're saying, and I can kind of read German. Just because I've translated a lot of recipes. But it'd be really cool to be able to like read Shulik, because it's like a completely different alphabet, Well, you have Yusuf. Yeah, we're pretty new, and I don't know, man. It just takes a while, And I just kind of slowly work at it. I figure if you're just patient and keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be all right. Definitely give us a sub and send us around. Tell your friends. We like to have a good time here. We talk about just about anything. Right now we're doing Elden Ring stuff, so we're talking a lot about Elden Ring, but and from soft games in general, which is cool. I like that we can kind of like talk about whatever we're working on. I drank that soda a little too fast. I didn't want to belch like right in the microphone. It's not that kind of show. It's not the Joe Rogan podcast. Okay. Slow down. And this white will probably take like 2 or 3 coats to get it just right, because I've got it real thin right now, and we want to get it just right. And so it may take a few a few rounds of getting it on. I've actually heard this song before. Hey, sweet. It's probably on somebody else's video. These guys definitely have a lot of different kinds of sounds for different kinds of YouTube and Twitching streams and stuff. But you can see like here where we can kind of vary how much of the white we're putting, where we're putting it. We can create more texture to the color itself. Nice work, man. Really, don't stop. I appreciate it. I'm Tim Pug. Cool, man. Or gal, I don't know. You can't really tell. Man is just, colloquialism. I call everybody man. Sometimes I even call my wife man. She looks at me like I'm weird. I'm like, I'm sorry, babe. You just kind of, it's a process. It is definitely a process. I'm so glad Rasmus said that about it too, because it really does. You're like, wait, God, the yellow doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. But then when you start seeing how the white's going to transition into it, it really starts to make a lot more sense. You're like, oh, okay. And that underneath tone is really going to help us create more of the depth of and texture of color here. And remember, try to keep those brush strokes going in a certain direction. Try to think about fur. You don't have to match exactly how a lion's fur is going to go or whatever. You don't spend an hour watching lion heads move around to figure it out. Just kind of pick a direction that seems logical and go. Like we want to split from the middle of that forehead right there, right? We went this way and then we're going this way. Same thing here on the nose. And it doesn't have to be exact. We're even going to overlap it a little bit. But those textures, that's what's going to... It doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it is a big deal. And it's something I didn't learn about painting miniatures until later, because I was like, oh, well, you can just do this, and it's done. And you're like, yeah, okay, that is done, but it doesn't look exactly the same. So I started applying more of my traditional art skills to it, and I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. If we started organizing these brush strokes, if we started simulating what we want it to look like, that's what we're really after. He does get a little hard to hold sometimes, so you kind of have to decide which direction to hold him. And this is going to be a little strange because there's that little bit of that fail in the print. And it's just a minor, well, I shouldn't call it a fail. That's like a minor deviation. Get that little, I'm not happy with that hair. There we go. So we want to kind of see where that line is and try and kind of disguise it or work with it, which we got lucky on that one, that it goes kind of with the nose. So it's going to be helpful for us in the end instead of being hurtful, which is good. Oh. When your hand starts getting numb, definitely let your hand drop and let the blood get down to it. Move it around. make fists and then do it. Because if your hands get numb, you're probably doing a little bit of damage to your nerves. And if you continue to do it, it will definitely do some damage, and it's not good. And that will end your painting career real fast, ladies and gents. You don't want that. Again, just bringing it down. Just bringing it down. Just kind of breathe. Don't get too excited. With white, that's one of the advantages of white. Like I said, it fades off. So you kind of, if you overpaint a little bit with white, as long as it's not into somewhere where it definitely can't have any of that white, you're going to be okay. Like even if I overpaint a little bit into that Payne's gray now, it's not going to affect it that much. It really isn't. Like, there we go. I dropped that in there. And it was a little bit of an overpaint, but it works. It's intentional as well. I'm not terribly worried about it. I needed to get a little bit of that, but it's going to fade down and it's going to be just fine. And now we're going to actually, in the end, the look's going to look great. Because again, you're not looking at it from this close when you're viewing it as a model. You're looking at it from like here, which is, you know, a completely different thing. You're looking at it when it's up on a shelf, like the Falcon up there or whatever. You know, I really appreciate you guys. Honestly, I like having people on, and I love the questions, and I love the comments and the feedback. It really, I don't know. I'm retired, and I don't like get to see a lot of people like adults anymore. I see my kids all the time, and I see my lovely wife. But like I don't have a lot of people I interact with, so it's nice to have people that I can say, "Hey, what's up?" and we can talk about weird stuff. Are you like a pro painter, sir? I'm asking because I just found this channel and also this stream like 2 minutes ago. I like your work here. I'm a 40K fan. I paint some too. I do. This is actually, you're watching my live studio right now. This is my studio. And actually I paint Warhammer. I've been painting. Right now I'm working on a Tyranid army. And here's some barb gaunts I did these guys. I did this live a couple sessions ago, and then I finished these up last night. So duplicating them out, boom, 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 and that'll be fun. Yeah, and I do like all sorts of different kinds of stuff. This army is my army for. I got the Leviathan set as a present because my kids had found. They found my friend's old Imperial Guard tanks, and they're like, "Oh my God, Dad, what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, you don't really need to know what this is because it's going to shatter you with crippling debt." And then they kept asking me, and I love my children too much, and so I told them, and now they're addicted to Warhammer. And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess we'll be doing Warhammer stuff on the show." So that's fun. Yeah, but I've made all sorts of stuff. I do, like this sculpture is a commission for a gentleman here in the city, and because I don't even play Elden Ring, my son does, but I don't. But I love painting and I love artistry, and I retired from the chef life, and now I'm in a studio and I paint. So I guess you could call it pro. I'm getting paid to do it, right? That makes me pro. I don't feel like a pro sometimes. What are we going to do next? So, well, it depends on a couple different things. I have this actually I have a really old Warhammer model. It's like 20 some odd years old. I was going to do when we hit 250. It seems a little weird now because he's supposed to be a giant, but he's half the size of this Godfrey model we're working on. Like this, like his head could fit in the mouth of this lion. So. So it's not It's not like a giant anymore, but it is old and kind of fun and quirky. So we're gonna, when we hit 250, I was gonna do that. But I do have another project, another one of these Elden Ring projects I need to do after this, and it's Ronnie. She's still in the box, the blue witch that's like a doll. Definitely kind of just keep working these little. White is just like this. You just kind of have to be patient. Keep your brush strokes tight. Keep them going the same direction. Thin coats and just kind of repeating. Let it dry, repeat. Let it dry, repeat. Let it dry, repeat. And that's how you do white. You can't. You're never going to be able to like brush white on in 2 coats and it be done. That's not how it works. And you need a underneath cover, an undercolor to kind of help sell it. And whatever that undercolor is, that it really affects the overall product, the way it's going to end up looking in the end. And this Payne gray and yellows and all this, number one, they're really indicative of the way like a white tiger would look. I've never actually seen a white lion. I'm sure they exist, but I've never seen a real one. I've always seen like facsimiles of them. But I've seen a white tiger in person, up close. And I know what it looks like. And it's got a bit of a yellow underneath, and it's got this bluish black to it, which is perfect for Payne's gray, which is why we used it. And it's also going to help blend into the silverness of it, because you got a silver piece. But yeah, we'll either be doing Ronnie or we'll be doing that giant, which he's over here. Where is he? This old guy here. He's a really great model. He's got a couple of pieces that will be put on him, but we got to get the paint underneath him first. And I threw a little primer on there. It needs another round of primer to get some of these little seams that didn't quite get primer in them. But you know, when you're putting gray on metal, sometimes it's hard to see. So we're gonna get him primed up. I'm trying to get him kind of ready to go. So if we do hit 250, we can paint him. And then after that, like I said, we got Ronnie. And then I don't know what's after Ronnie or the giant. At 500, I'm gonna do. I have a model car we're gonna build, and we're gonna deck it out like orcs, Mad Max orc kind of looking thing. It'll be fun. I gotta build some terrain. So we might do that. It depends. Sometimes if the customers come in and they want stuff, like I said, clients and things. Whenever my clients want things, that's usually what we're working on primarily. Looks amazing, sir. Tyranid model. I'm Death Guard and Dark Angels. Oh, fun. Glad to find this channel. I think I'll stay here, subscribe, watch more. Hey, man, appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it for sure. Brother or sister, person, friend. I'm a little older guy, so definitely forgive me if I don't stay as current with my lingo as I should. It is definitely not intentional. I'm not a typically offensive person. And again, we want to use that. We want to use those brush strokes. It's going to help those edges kind of get fuzzy, like fur, because his face is fur. It's not. Think about your cat. If you've ever been around a cat, or you have a cat, and his face it's all covered in fur. It's little short furs, little short hair fur, but it is in fact fur. But yeah, I come on for about an hour. Right now it's the same time every day right now at 10 Central US. We were at a different time slot, but we moved it for ease to take care of my kids. My kids are definitely my priority in life, especially now that I'm retired. I was a chef before this, and so I got a condition with my throat and lungs where I can't work in the chef world anymore. And I'm kind of like semi-retired. And I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do with myself? Because I'm a doer. I got to have things to do. So, I was painting miniatures and stuff for my kids for D&D night and different things. And my friends were like, man, Pat, you should totally do that on YouTube. And I was like, what? And I said, just do it on YouTube. All you got to do is like film while you're working on something. That people don't care. They love watching that stuff. And I was like, all right, well, fine. Well, I'll try it. And my friend Mikkel got me all set up and squared away. And here we are. If you're into crypto, go check out Crypto Mikkel. Friend of mine. He's a close personal friend of the channel. He got me started on this. And anytime I have any serious problems with my technology, I holler at him because he's awesome. And I suck with tech, guys. I'm not going to lie. Like, I understand enough to like make it work, and I understand what it's doing, but I'm not good at making it operate. Serosh is how ferocious some of our cats imagine they are. Yeah, and how my cat is. I have one cat that is this ferocious. You do not mess with that cat. She's mean, and she's a stone cold killer. Like, nothing in this house is alive unless she says it can be alive. She's crazy. Even our pit bull is terrified of that cat. Just mean little Siamese cat. It's funny as hell. She's like some sort of little ninja. The other cat, he's not afraid of her, but so he'll try to like wrestle with her and stuff. And that she just whoops his ass up one side and down the other. It's funny. But I've definitely had cats who thought they were like the biggest hotshot in the world, and then you let them outside and they encounter another cat and they're like, oh my god, no, I want to go back in. Not Octavia. Octavia is like, you better kill me, because I'm coming for you. Hey, have a good one, my friend. Thank you so much. Definitely come back and check us out. What do you think about that, Rasmus? They're looking a little bit more right. And you definitely can see how the difference of what it looks like from where it starts to where it's going to be. Huge difference. And with this up next to Godfrey, because we gave Godfrey more of a gray hair, this is going to look like that white. And it really should like help set off his gray hair and like differentiate them. One of the things in the original paint up of this model that I thought was a mistake was as they kind of made the armor and the motif of the hairs and stuff kind of all the same. So it kind of, their differentiation wasn't there as much. This is going to have a much bigger differentiation, so it's going to have just a very different overall look. It gets a little complicated to explain it, but and some of it's just when if you've taken art, like traditional art classes, or been mentored by traditional artists, you kind of just know this stuff innately. It's like when I was chefing, cracking eggs. I didn't even really think about cracking an egg. I just cracked it. So that's one of the reasons I love having this interactive thing on these channels. It really helps, or on this channel, it helps me kind of rethink the basics of why I'm doing a thing, and that way I can explain it better. Because people they'll ask the question that I don't think to talk about. You know, you always think to talk about, oh yeah, we're going to use this color and we're going to put it all over this, and you think about light, because light's the most important thing on almost anything. But then you forget to talk about why you layer this color on top of that color, and why those particular colors work the way they do together, you know. Yep, it's a lot better now. Layering is the closest thing to magic we have. It really kind of is. If you layer it properly, man, it looks legit. And like, you can't tell on the camera, but in person, it looks like hair. It looks fuzz. It looks like he's got a bunch of hair on him instead of just paint. And of course, my camera is not good enough to show that. It's and that's my po-ness. I'm just poor old retired man. It's all good. Like even here on this muzzle, you see I'm kind of coming to the middle, and then I'm stopping, right? Because I want to connect the other side of this muzzle going this way. We didn't have to worry about that with the yellow, but we want to do that with the white a whole lot more. We got a little bit more play with the yellow because it was just more of that undercoat. And when we watch those really good prize-winning guys, this is a lot of what they're doing with their hand-painted stuff. They're making these brush strokes on these statues and models. This one's definitely kind of pushing the limit of what you can call a model. This is mostly like a statue. A lot of these were statuettes, you know, however you want to say that. The thing is huge. Yeah, I have a Marine Army I gotta figure out what to do with. I might put it up to a vote. Although, man, Dark Angels are looking pretty slick. That new Deathwing Terminator box looks freaking epic. I like Death Guard too. I like Nurgle. I think the Nurgle thing is fun. But yeah, we'll get back to doing some Warhammer stuff on the channel eventually. Especially since I've got Escalation League coming. I'll probably have a cool model coming up we can paint on here. The Tyranids have some really crazy models, so. Yeah, this face work is definitely a layering just over and over and over and over again. And then like 3 hours later, we've got this amazing white lion's face that's like raw right into you, getting right at you. I think we got one more day of face to go. And it should be done with this guy. On his face, anyway, on the face of me. Keep putting my finger in that yellow. Gotta make sure I'm not putting it on anything. I'm not, but I always make sure. Like I always gotta look, because I've done it so many times now in the past that it just feels like anytime I stuck my finger in the paint, like oh, better look, better look. Past the hour. To be honest, I was scared to paint Death Guard. Too much small details, bone, skin, and etc. Yeah, there's a lot to Death Guard, like, but it'll make you better. Like the color scheme I picked for these Tyranids is insane. Like I don't know why I decided like my Termagants are in like all this crazy blending fade pattern, and the reason I did it is because like, man, I gotta get myself back up to snuff if I'm gonna be painting armies, because with it being a studio, the idea is to be able to go play games and hopefully we can pull in some clients and do some more models and stuff, keep me busy, make a little extra money on the side, you know. And there's so many of those guys out there doing the how-tos. I decided I was just going to do kind of the hangout and chat and paint kind of deal. Oh, out of frame. Gotta get better. I'm still getting better about being in frame. Working on that. I feel like that's kind of maybe an all the time work thing, but also saw a better setup where like the camera is way up higher and it focuses in on you automatically, and one day we'll have the money to do that. When I convince you to pay for my art supplies. But yeah, the Death Guard's got a lot. But Mortarion is so cool. That model is so amazing. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of a new channel. We're just kind of finally getting... I feel like the algorithm's kind of finally figuring out what we're doing. And what kind of audience, you know, is looking for what I do. Because, you know, there's different kinds of... There's a bunch of different kinds of painting stuff on YouTube. Like I was just saying, you know, and everybody's got a little niche, and I didn't want to be the same thing. And I don't just paint... A lot of those guys just paint one thing. Like this guy just paints Warhammer stuff. This guy just paints Necromunda. This guy just paints Dungeons and Dragons. This guy just paints... You know, I didn't want to be that. Some of it's just a craft channel. You know, we're gonna build terrain. We're building this terrain, that terrain. You know, I don't want to do that either. I wanted to be like, hey, we're gonna paint whatever clients want us to paint, and then whatever fun projects I've got in between. We painted a cat mobile a couple weeks ago. It was fun. My wife got a bunch of these wooden cats as a... Oh, they were kind of like a decoration in a bag my sister put together, I think, for Mother's Day. They were just in a they were kind of just decor, these wooden cats. But my wife loves cats, and she's like, "Oh my god, can we paint these cats?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll just turn them into a mobile." That's real cool. A lot of fun. Fun little project to do on the show. And it showcases that thing where we're not just doing the one thing. We do a bunch of different stuff. Because I think I just kind of want to, build a little community. A bunch of people kind of hang out, say hello, and chit chat. I know I enjoy it. And we'll keep things light. Things get too crazy, I will definitely shut that down. I'm not here for people to be buttheads, Hopefully one day I'll be high enough I'll have to make old McBeardsley there a moderator. So he can police the ruffians. Ah, dreams. I kind of like slowly building too. When I was in the restaurant industry, it was always hustle and bustle, and like if you weren't slammed, you felt like you were a failure. But with this, it's just painting. It's painting for clients that the money's already there. The client's he's already commissioned the work. So we're just hanging out, It's like having my friends, hanging out in my studio. But I get to have friends from all over the world. Which, I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have the internet, and like the idea of talking to somebody while you're painting a thing live on camera, and you're talking with somebody in Ukraine, or you're talking to somebody in France or Japan or Australia or China, or heck, just somebody who's down the street, and everybody all the same time talking together. That's why we made the internet. It was there. I remember. We didn't make it for all this other stuff. It just happened that way. We didn't make, but we made it to where you could communicate with people, and you could share projects, and because that's what humanity does. Where are you from, sir? I am from the great state of Oklahoma, here in the wonderful United States of America. I'm currently sitting in Choctaw, Oklahoma, which is a small town outside of the capital of the state, which is Oklahoma City. I was born in Oklahoma City in the 70s, a long time ago. Well, not that long ago. Just seems like a long time ago. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Hello, Jonathan Jackson. Nice to have you. We're doing great. We're working on this lion and trying to get him all set up. I'd like to be able to, man, maybe we just cruise on through. I'm from Poland, close to Warsaw. Hey, nice. Nice. I love Polish food, man. I was an international chef, and man, whenever the Polish chefs would cook stuff, it was like, oh my god. It was one of the, it would always be cold, and they would be like, oh no, we'll cook tonight, and you're like, okay. And down at the hotels, and they would just make up all this crazy pockets of everything. Food wrapped in dough. It was so good. And everything you could imagine. All sorts of soups. Oh, God. I'm just salivating thinking about it. I didn't even know what any of it was. Just to eat it. we love ourselves too sometimes. It seems like y'all disagree with each other a lot too. From what I remember working with a couple Polish guys, they like to argue with each other. Very nice to everybody else, but man, they argue with each other all day. It's pretty funny. Europe seems to be that way kind of in general, where it seems like people are arguing, but they're not. They're just kind of being fun and having banter. In the U.S., people don't banter really. So like if the banter starts getting too crazy, people get like aggressive and they're like, "Ooh, you want to fight?" And they're like, "No, I thought we were just bantering." It gets weird. I think the U.S. takes itself a little too seriously sometimes, and we really shouldn't, because we're a bunch of goofballs. I mean, look, we have Florida, okay? Like we have the largest collection of goofballs on the planet. People are wild. No offense to anybody from Florida, but y'all know. Yeah, most people I know from Florida know they got like this some crazy people down there. I think the sun makes you crazy. All right. A little white on these guys. Look a little too yellow here. Yeah, that's looking great. Okay, we need a... Alright, let's take a look at this teeth thing going on here. Okay. It's almost easier to use the camera to look at it. Okay. So we got a gum. Okay. Pull our Payne's Gray. This needs to come in just a touch more. One thing I'll definitely tell you about painting these things is don't be afraid to rotate your model. A lot of times you'll keep yourself out of a lot of trouble if you'll just remember to kind of rotate it around. We Polish people like to argue with each other, sometimes about important events, undertakings, and sometimes, very often, the smallest of fusses. Yeah. That sounds about right. I had a lot of fun working in hotels, man. You got to meet people from everywhere, and I don't know, food's got this common language that, like, if it's good, it's good. You know, if food is good, it's good. Like, it doesn't matter who made it. It doesn't matter where it came from. If it's good and it's food, it's good. That's the end of the subject. Unless you're weird and you're like, oh, I don't want that particular thing because it's gross. And you're like, okay, well, if you didn't know that, we love and respect anyone, but not ourselves from time to time. Yeah, I think sometimes that can be common with a lot of cultures. I don't know. America's going through some. It's going through some growing pains right now. I think a lot of Americans forget how young our country really is, and the culture here is. It's still got some things it's got to grow through and learn, and I don't know. I love culture though. I love different cultures. It's part of the best part about the whole globalization of everything is we get to share all this cool stuff. Like heck here, I'm painting this model that was designed by video gamers in Japan, loved all over the world. And here I am in this little town in Oklahoma, where there's like, I could take you to a wheat field in 5 minutes from where my house is. In 5 minutes we'd be standing in a wheat field with cows and chickens and all sorts of stuff not too far by. And this thing came from a major metropolis and sent to us. It's crazy. It's so cool. When I was growing up, you just didn't have that kind of globalization. Heck, people were still terrified of half the world, really. There's still people that are terrified. Screw them. Okay, yeah, we can definitely see where the gum line's working now that we're getting in here and getting these teeth in. Really helping by setting those markers in, it really helps us kind of get an idea of what we're honestly looking at. Remember, don't jam your brush in there, especially one of these expensive Kalinskis. We're just kind of gently applying that paint. It'll get on there, trust me. You might have to do it a couple times, but it'll get there. I'm going to get these teeth marked in first, and then we'll mess with everything else, because then we can kind of tell what's what. We got a lot of color we're going to add to these teeth. This will be, we'll get kind of a... Yeah, animals have that distinctive, unbrushed look. And we'll get that in there with some work in a bit. But for now, really just want to get these marked in. And we're way over time for the day too, which is cool. That's super nice. Sometimes when I'm feeling the jam, I'll just kind of keep rolling till I gotta do something else or whatever. It's looking great. I'm so excited. This thing with this guy is so cool. I kind of want to just keep going on him. I'm gonna get hungry in here in a second, though. I'll have to sign off. Putting a little Payne's gray in that, underneath that tongue, just to get us that darkness. And this is going to take a couple different layers of work to get all this to come out just right for us. Very careful, very careful. That's a fun song for what I'm doing. Kind of makes me want to move a little too much though. About the bass about to drop and I want to go dance. Boom. I'd break my ankles trying to go dance right now. I really would. I've been down dancing in so long, I would have hurt myself. Man, we might be able to get this whole thing finished today. That'd be good. Be exciting. And you can kind of see now we're putting that Payne's gray in the back. It's giving us that tone that we want. So when we painted it over with the magenta, it comes right to where we want it to look. There's some teeth up there I missed. It's kind of hard to see exactly what you're doing sometimes. Oh, let's see. Do you have any tips on how to paint organic flesh parts? Example, inside of the lion's mouth, skin interior. So it's the layers. It's making, you want to start off with making sure that the darkest parts are a certain color, and it's a good question. It gives us a chance to look at the big Godfrey like the rest of it, because he's super cool. So, okay. So with this face, that underneath is a pretty dark, reddish flesh color, right? And I did that in all the cracks, all the places that was going to be the most deep part of the face, right? Wherever the deepest parts are, you know. And then I came back with lighter tones, and then lighter tones and lighter tones, just kind of pulling it up and always coming to the edges of things as I did it, right? So you don't, wherever the sun is kind of going to hit is where it doesn't need to be as fleshy colored, or it needs to be more fleshy colored and less red. That's what I mean to say. And so you just kind of like layer it up. Same thing with what we're doing with the mouth of the lion here. Is like that very, very, very deep inside. A couple of days ago we put, and I put some more in there today, we put Payne's gray, because we needed something darker than the magenta. The inside of his mouth is pretty magenta. It's, you know, dark purplish red, and the tone will be a little bit more fleshy, but the inside of the mouth is going to remain that purpley color. So down on the very inside, and I think you can see that. Kind of hard to see it, but right down in there looks like there's a line, right? No matter how I move it, you can see it. Well, that's because there is a line. I drew a line in there with a brush using the Payne's gray, which is like I said, that dark blue color, and putting that in there. And you saw me do it again underneath the tongue here. I put that darker color so that when we look, oh, I snapped that thing again. That's the third time. I'll be so glad when I actually have this thing mounted. There's just one of them over here that's so like out from the model it pops off. That'll be all right. But anyway, so like under the tongue, you can see we want it to be darker, and we're gonna bring out, and that'll be good to go ahead and bring this out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out, this is Pale Rose Blush. So this is a little bit more pinkish, right? Right? Actually, that might be too pink. Let's go with this one. This is Pale Terracotta. So this is a little bit of a darker pink. And it's kind of a more Caucasian flesh color, which as a highlight for this tongue, it's going to work out great. Because we just want to pull the tongue out. We don't want to make the rest of the mouth change any of the color. And we don't really want the tongue to be too much of a change in color. We just need a slight change. And mostly like on the highlights of it. And again, we're gonna let it fade, because this like color of a pink is gonna fade a lot. Almost like white does. But we want to kind of just get in here and get some texture of the color to it. So it doesn't look so flat. We want to avoid getting under it. That little right there is a mistake. So just got it wet brush, put some water in it, and just pull it out. And this is, you could do this as long as you kind of let it dry in between what you're doing. If you're wet blending, you're not going to be able to do that. You kind of, that's one of the dangers of wet blending. You make a mistake and you're stuck with it, or you're going to have to start all the way over. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer to layer than wet blend on a model. Occasionally, there's no other way to get a certain effect, though, so you have to do the wet blending. Hello, buddy. This is one of my sons. What do you think? Does it look pretty cool? Mm-hmm. Does it look like a lion? Yeah. Alright. And like even the nose is done that way. So the nose is mostly Payne's gray, but there's a little bit of that magenta at the very tip of it to kind of give it that, it makes it look more three-dimensional, and the color, the depth of the color is what's doing that. And that's from your layering. You're always going to get a better look by doing your stuff in layers. And I like a good wash or a glaze every now and again too, so I'll use those as well. But when I'm doing faces in particular, I've gotten to where I'm always doing it this way now, where I'm gonna layer it all in, and there's just so much more control there than just letting the wash do the job for you. But I'm definitely not knocking on anybody's stuff, man. Like, painting models, it is not easy, no matter which way you go about it. It is not an easy task. So, and especially if you're painting models for Warhammer, you're trying to paint whole armies, just simply staying motivated on that is a feat in and of itself. And art is just subjective, you know. I mean, like, heck, people love Jackson Pollock, and the guy pretty much just threw paint at a canvas and told you to buy it. I mean, people love it. So if you think it looks good, and it's giving you the vibe you want, man, that's what matters. That's what matters with art. You're happy with it, and that's what you should always strive for. Forget haters, man. Alright, so then I brought just a little bit more magenta back here into the center, and I'm going to pull it out. And that is kind of a little bit of a wet blending, which is something I just said I don't really like doing, but on faces, but you know, there we go. We need to light. We wanted it lighter, but more light on the edges. We definitely need it to blend together. Here we go. Yeah, definitely looking good. All right, so now for the teeth, I come in here and I'm gonna put. Now this is burnt sienna. You don't have to bring this all the way down on these big canines, but you definitely need to make sure it's all the way around. If we could do that canine back here, we didn't do it. I can't believe I snapped that thing off again. That's funny. It's been driving me nuts for days. And you could do this as a wash too, but at this point we've got all this other work done, so I don't really want to wash this. I want to make sure it gets pigment on it, but other than that, I'm not terribly worried about it getting everywhere. You know, I don't want to do that, so I want to be in more control here. I'll wait for just a few more seconds on that one. Sounds like the end of a sitcom or something. Or the presentation's over from the boss, and now everybody's filtering out, and finally get to go home from our what do they call those things? In services. Alright, this is going to give us a chance to kind of make sure we're getting those teeth picked out the way we want them. You can see how that we didn't really need to come all the way down on it. Yeah, there we go. We're just trying to leave that, just that very edge up there. Alright, now come back with white. Same thing. See, and that little bit of that transition color is what's going to really help set these teeth off. All right, I'm going to finish these teeth up, guys. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say my goodbyes and all that. And we're going to get out of here. We're almost done for the day. Man, it was such a great show. Oh, that looks so great. Holy macaroni, he looks good, doesn't he? All right. Very happy with that. I'm very, very happy with it. Start closing this thing down. Oh. Take one more good look at it. Wow. So cool. Okay. Make me big. Thank you, Steve. Steve's my computer. I talk to him because I'm usually in here by myself with him. So I kind of started talking to the screen. It's kind of weird. But that's okay. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. And we had so many cool people stop by. So many new people stop by from all over the place. Shout out to everybody. Like Jonathan, Tim Puck, Rasmus, the gentleman's Sherlock name I can't say, which I'm going to look up after I get off of here and figure out how to say that. And of course the fabulous Mr. McBeardsley and Rasmus. You guys are super amazing. Thank you for coming by. I feel like maybe I haven't looked at it, but I feel like we picked up a couple more subscribers, which is super cool. Share us around. Tell people who are into painting stuff and into art stuff to come check me out. I'm trying to get YouTube to pay for my paints. So once we get to a certain place, we can do the advertisements and the super chats and the sponsors and all that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna keep painting. You guys keep watching and definitely come by and let's have a chat. So we're gonna roll ourselves out of here. You guys have a good night. And I'll be back tomorrow for sure. Talk to you later. Bye.